Hey everyone, welcome back to Buzzing About Romance, a quick shot of romance. I am Becky, and I am joined for this quick shot of romance by Heather. Hi, Heather.
Hey, Becky.
So this was kind of your pick. You've been in a little bit of a small town deep dive lately?
Yeah, I just decided to go where the wind took me this summer, and it took me to this cute little small town, and I'm not sad.
So on this episode of A Quick Shot of Romance, we are reviewing Exception by Michele Lenard. This is book 6 in her Elevation series. We'll link the synopsis of the book in our on-the-shelf show notes at buzzingaboutromance.com. Release was May 2nd of 2023. This is a small town, friends with benefits, secret affair.
Mm-hmm.
Sibling's best friend, but we're going to explain that because it's not, but it is.
Yes.
And you had a great term that I really liked, the town sweetheart.
Yes. So it's sort of also a little bit like brothers, like best friend, like little sister, except for she's like the town's little sister. She kind of grew up there, and they're all super protective of her.
Yeah, and we'll talk about her mom in a minute. Evolution. So this is Elevation, book 6. It is a series of standalones.
Mm-hmm.
Put out percentage is 27% with mutual masturbation and audiobook fun. I don't know what else to call it. There is not a third act breakup in this book. So that was like really a hit for you because you kind of are loving the no third act breakup.
I really do not love third act breakups. I think sometimes they become so predictable, and not every relationship needs a third act breakup. Does that make sense?
So I agree with you. We don't always need third act breakups, particularly if there's an outside source that is causing drama. Now, I think that this book did really okay not having a third act breakup. But there are other times when I'm reading a book and there is no third act, there's no outside force drama that creates like the peak of action. And the book feels flat. If I'm very, very honest, I am starting to miss the third act breakup.
I think you're right. Sometimes like there needs to be something. So maybe, I don't want to say maybe it's not a breakup, but maybe it's like a disagreement, and they're like, you know what? We're going to take a couple days away from each other, and we're going to really process through and come back to it like adults.
Right. So you're an educator, and if we look back at our kind of elementary, middle school story writing lessons, the storyline plot was described to us as a mountain. So you have your, the start at the bottom, and we have our rising action. We hit the climax, and then we go down, right? And I am finding that books without third act breakups sometimes are like we have rising action, and then it's just straight line across. And there are times when I need that third act breakup to cement the commitment and the connection between the two. Like you have to test how strong is that love, the bounds. Also, makeup sex is hot.
It is. And I think where you didn't need it, there were some outside forces. So if there are some outside forces, like I think it is especially easier to do a no third act breakup if it's like a secret relationship. And then that part is like when other people find out.
Right. Like it fit in this book, but overall I am kind of no third act is starting to wear on me a little bit. So.
Yeah. It could be because you are back in your mafia stage, because in mafia, you're in it till you die. I mean, I don't have another way to say it.
But there are kidnappings and outside forces driving them apart. And so, true. It's fun. So this book, Exception, is the story of Tiff and Deacon. Let's start off with talking about Tiff, who is the town sweetheart. Her family moved to this small town in Colorado after the family experienced a robbery at gunpoint. and in California, and the mother wanted to move somewhere small where she could feel safe. And
Yep.
the mom's a lot of work in this book. For what
She's
little
real extra.
interactions, she's a lot.
Would agree.
Um, to the extent that Tiff is feeling incredibly stifled in this town.
It is, that's a really great word. So I think her mom is very stifling and like overprotective and sort of tries to micromanage her life.
Hmm.
And then everyone around Tiff, I mean, this is book 6 in the series. So everyone around her is finding love and they're finding their partners. And she's sort of viewed as the little sister, and her cousin slash like parents' best friend's son, Cade, has all but like has told everyone like she's off limits. And she's like, I'm a freaking adult.
Yeah.
Like I can make decisions for myself.
And she doesn't live with her parents. She has her own
Mm-mm.
place. She works as a bartender, at her friend's bar, but then she also teaches dance. And she's just at a place where everybody has love, and this town is very interesting. There's some
Mm-hmm.
polyamory, there's some male-male romances. This little town has everything. It felt like real life. Like you get little glimpses of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and but she is like looking at all the people around her, and she's attracted to Deacon, but he will not do anything except he kissed her on New Year's
Mm-hmm.
Eve. So that's the
Mm-hmm.
prologue. Like she's by herself standing by the bar, and he goes over and he gives her a kiss. But as soon as he kisses her, he leaves.
Yeah, and I felt really bad for her. I mean, I think Michelle Lenard did a really great job of us putting us in Tiff's shoes. Like you really felt like she felt stuck, and she was like, I either need I need a change in my life. Like I'm so stifled. And so she was looking to get out of that town.
Well, and I forgot one of our tropes. Oh, well, technically two of our tropes.
Mhm.
So one
Oh
one
yeah.
bed and
Hmm.
forced proximity. So what happens is Tiff and Kate or Tiff and Deacon have this moment because she gets hit in the head with the swinging doors at the bar.
Hmm.
And he is worried she has a concussion, so because she's got a big goose egg on her forehead. He takes her home and stays with her for the night to make sure she's safe. And they have a little flirtation, but she decides to go for it and ask for what she wants. She wants to
Hmm.
learn how to get blowjobs. She's not a virgin, but she wants to know how to get blowjobs.
Hmm.
And
He's like, oh.
he's like, words, like runs away like a little girl, like someone's coming after him with a worm or something. Like he
I know.
runs.
Right. Men usually don't run from blowjobs.
Right. So and at this point Tiff is like, I can't do this anymore. I can't continue to wait and hope somebody will see me. And she's unhappy. And I really like how Michelle Lenard writes this unhappiness, because because the character very clearly says, her life isn't bad. It's just not fulfilling. And
Hmm.
she can stay where she is, where she's stuck, and things will be fine. But she realizes that in order to be happy, to truly be happy, she has to move forward.
And I can understand that. Like it is very, she's at an age where her friends are moving on and they have a life. And then what happens is if everyone around you has significant others and they're moving forward with their life, you're stuck and you are lonely.
Yeah. Well, she's tired of going home by herself and having no one to talk to and not having a dance
Mhm.
partner or a dinner partner. So she makes the choice to apply for a job that's in the small town, like 3 hours away. And
Mhm.
so she applies for this position, and after she's lied to her mother to do it, right?
Which was his mom, whatever.
She's lied to her mom. She says that she's going to stay with a friend, move three, or goes to this job interview 3 hours away. And while she's there, she's grabbing a bite to eat and headed back home after the interview. And weather comes in.
Yeah. And as someone who lives in the north, it can come out of nowhere. They live in Colorado. So like major roads close. In Minnesota and North Dakota and all around, like interstates, there's just gates on the interstate and you just can't get on because they're closed. And so that's what happened.
Yeah,
She
the
couldn't get
road.
out of there.
Yeah, well, and just so happens that she luckily runs into Deacon, who is happens to be in the area looking for gravel because he's a landscaper.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about Deacon because his situation is interesting. He is not from the small town,
Mm-mm. He
but
is Cade's cousin slash like they're really good buddies.
right, right, best friends, and he's been warned to not mess around with Tiff. And Declan also works for Tiff's dad. He's been given this
Yeah.
big contract to, because is Tiff's dad the mayor of the town?
Yeah. And I think her parents own, or she's a dance instructor also. So something like that. Like he has a job with Tiff's dad. And Deacon is also sort of known as like a ladies' man. Like he really picks up a lot of ladies
Yeah,
at the bar.
he's the town playboy, and he has a reputation of new woman every night.
Mm-hmm.
But he runs into Tiff, and he's been fighting this attraction. He is attracted to Tiff, but he doesn't want to cross that friendship with Cade.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he runs into her, he says, you know, you can stay with me. I'm staying in a friend's cabin. We're probably going to be there for 2 or 3 days. And they go off to the cabin to wait out the storm so they can drive home.
Mm-hmm. In the woods.
In the woods. And snowed in together, forced proximity weather, which I'm all for, right?
Oh, that I think is listed as a trope, and I was like, I'm in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So so they're, I don't want to give too much away because I mean,
I know.
that's like a good bulk of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there's this incredibly spicy scene
Oh my God.
with
It
an
was
audiobook at
it's
27.
their jam. She loves those audiobooks, and accidentally it went off. Like they were both listening. That was such a well-written scene. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so spicy.
Yeah, like it was so spicy, and he knows exactly what she was doing in the bath because she's in the bathroom showering, warming up from the weather, and he knows exactly what she was doing in that bathroom. And then he says to her, now that she's out, he's like, take your clothes off or drop your towel, whatever. Um, we're going to do this together. And she's like, we're going to do it. And he's like, no, I'm not touching you. You're touching you.
Yeah.
That scene was friggin' hot.
It was so hot. And yeah. Uh-huh.
And
Mm-hmm.
it just starts off all the banging.
Yeah, he, I think even makes a comment like, everyone thinks you're so sweet and innocent, but like basically, damn girl, you are wanted all the time. And he's not complaining.
He's not. But what I really liked about him, so this book bangs, you guys, and it bangs a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that I really liked that Michelle did is she could have written Deacon as just a guy that hooks up and their connection is really just physical. But what she does instead is she shows that he truly cares deeply for her. It is absolutely for him more than just friends with benefits.
Yes. And as it starts to come out, they keep their relationship, they have an instant connection. They obviously are connected, very sexually explosive, but they also connect on an emotional level. And so when they get back to town, they kind of embark on this sneaking around and he does it for her benefit because he thinks that everyone sees him as the town playboy,
Uh-huh.
and he doesn't want that to damage her image.
Well, and he also thinks that once people realize that that she's connected to him and warn her away from him, that she'll want to walk away, that she'll be done with him.
Yeah, he has some abandonment issues for
Yeah.
sure. And I think she does a really great job of like building him up. And there's a couple of scenes where people are like kind of dogging on him, and she isn't, people are very surprised by her backbone. And she basically is all like, you guys either are going to have to get used to this or you're not going to be a part of our life.
Yeah.
And everyone was sort of like, had major whiplash. And I was like, go Tiff.
She really
Like,
did. The only thing, so here's, it's kind of that sibling best friend hang up that we all have, is Cade, who is her family best friend and also Deacon's cousin. Cade is uber protective of Tiff. And it's that whole thing that if this is your best friend, why aren't they good enough for your sister? And his reaction was incredibly over the top. And but it was done in a way, the way that Michele wrote it and forced Cade and Tiff to speak things they hadn't wanted to speak yet. It worked okay. I wasn't incredibly mad. Like, I wasn't like, cheese and rice. Do we really need this kind of behavior? The way she gives us resolution with the feels made it okay.
Yeah, I agree. I still wanted to, smack Cade and be like, mind your own business. Like, mind your business.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, he was not a dynamic character. I didn't really love him. He was... For him saying, that he cares about Tiff, he did not read the room very well.
No, he didn't.
Because he didn't see any of her unhappiness. He didn't see her loneliness. And it's really interesting because I don't know if you've read it yet, but Make Me Exhale by Marie Johnston.
Not sure.
It's Isla's book. She's the youngest. Anyway, in that book, she very much feels the loneliness in the crowded room, right? Like, I have all this family, but I'm not the person you call for the barbecues. I'm not the person you call and invite for the, to go have lunch with or breakfast with. I'm the afterthought. I'm the, we saw you see us buying supplies for the party. We're gonna... And so it kind of, my heart broke for Tiff, but I like how she decided to take control of her own
life.
So I
agree.
I did like that. Anything else we should talk about? Exception?
No, I like this as a sports romance, but it's not. This is centered around a small town in Colorado, and it's a different kind of sports romance. It's like dirt biking, and so and mountain biking. I think it's it's a really cool kind of. They have lots of different tropes, and I really like that.
Yeah, I know you've liked this series a lot, and it was very different. They talk about, the mud season and getting ready for the short-lived spring season and the tourist and what it does into the town. So it was a very interesting take on a different kind of sports romance, and I did like that. Okay. Hey, Heather, thanks so much for hanging out and talking about Exception with me.
No problem. Anytime.
Until next time, everyone, happy reading.
Find us on Instagram at Buzzing About Romance or on Twitter at Buzzing Romance. If you like the podcast, please leave a review. If you'd like to support us directly, join the Bookcase and Coffee Patreon and receive exclusive content only available to Patreon members. Check out bookcaseandcoffee.com for our on-the-shelf show notes.